takes up land that used to be parkland or whatever other use it might have had, there's always a cost or a trade-off involved. And all too often, always, there's an economic component to that as well. So when we talk about green, when our members talk about sustainability, just as ULI members talked about sustainability, always the life cycle, the cradle to grave, kind of discussion, what to do with those building materials, how to reuse them. It always brings to mind that that double entendre of green, right? The notion that and this is something that will always be analogous to sustainability. That double meaning is of course intriguing. It's also an essential part of the discussion. That economic mandate every bit as vital to any discussion as the environmental imperative. And it's important to always have those two things, as part of the same conversation, because at the end of the day, when we're talking about building a road, we're talking about improving an existing asset or finding a different way to connect people where they work to where they live. There is a cost. There's always a trade-off involved with that. A big part of what we talk about in the context of public-private partnerships for public infrastructure assets, involves future-proofing. When you guys got into high school, Uber didn't exist. Just think about that a little bit. It's changing the way people use transportation networks. Much more of a virtual network, a consulting transportation enterprise that just didn't exist just a few years ago. You put that in context with how the future will look different when you take into consideration autonomous vehicles. It's just one technology example. The whole world isn't going to get turned into some Jetsons enterprise, by the time you finish your NYU program. But the world will definitely be different by the time you graduate, and that much more so, by the time you have an opportunity to engage in projects, that will have a projected life cycle of 30 or 40 or 50 years. And that's big. You're talking about a program that, a field of study that's going to lead to